pretty comfortable.
Oh yeah, that's nice. All right, you can kind of see what it's starting to look like. Hello, welcome to Waypoint Survival. Today, we're going to talk about Horace Kephart's amazing bough bed. You're going to like it. Stay tuned. Well, good morning. Definitely not a very comfortable night if you have to sleep out on the hard ground. Now, if you remember from the last video, it was getting pretty dark. We lit the little candle lantern and had it inside, and got a couple of heavy-duty wool blankets. That's very helpful, but again, the ground just sucks the heat from you. So what I'm going to show you today is I'm going to show you how Horace Kephart and other woodsmen would have made a bough bed. Now, there's a couple different ways to make it. I'm going to show you my favorite method that I believe he would have liked and very likely used. So let's get to that right now. Well, it's warmed up a bit. It's actually not an unpleasant day, and I am much too heavily dressed for what I need to do for making this bough bed. So definitely going to be taking off the wool scarf, and underneath it we just have our cotton, or you can use anything you want, but this would be the kind of scarf that he would have worn. He liked silk. Again, it doesn't chafe your neck so much. And then we're going to take off the heavy wool coat. And of course, you would sleep in all of this gear. And I will be talking about the clothing choices and showing you what I have and what I'm wearing on a later video, again, in this little winter camping series that I'm doing on Horace Kephart. But the important thing is to note that whereas today we will dress in layers but then strip down to get into our sleeping bags, for instance. As a matter of fact, in most of your modern sleeping bags for the military and their cold weather system, they recommend that you sleep in your skivvies. So you literally don't have anything on other than just your underwear to stay warm in the bag. But back in the day, you would have put all your clothes layers on, and then you would have also wrapped up in your at least 2, possibly 3 wool blankets. And remember that light wool blankets are better than heavy duty ones. So like one heavy duty one is not as good as 2 light ones because of the amount of air, the warm air that you're trapping between the layers. And of course that would have gone as well for the clothes that you wear. So the more layers you have, the more warm air you're trapping, and also that meant the fewer bedding garments that you would have to carry. If you look back at some of the old bedrolls, they were absolutely huge. I mean, some of them were, this big around and 4 and 5 feet long, especially the ones they carried on wagons and even rolls across horseback. So when you're on foot and you're trying to carry your tent and your camping equipment for all your cooking and all of that, and then you're also carrying your tools, plus you're trying to stay warm at night, you had to be a really good woodsman. And it was a combination of the kind of shelter that you had, the kind of fire that you would build, as well as the type of layers of clothes. So everything was strategically planned so that it was the lightest possible to carry, but that it also would have maximum effect, so that when you got to where you were going, you could adjust for the temperature. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, especially when I show you how we're going to build the fire in front of the shelter. So make sure and stay tuned for that episode as well. So here in our neck of the woods, we don't actually have any spruce and we don't have any pine. Now it does grow some miles from here, but in our particular area we have a lot of cedar, and cedar can be used. It's very fragrant, it smells great, it repels bugs, so that's an added benefit. Now I'm on private property here, so I can do this. Again, this is not something you do in the modern age. It's why we have different camping options. But back in Horace Kephart's day, they would have done this. They would have harvested these boughs, we call it. These are the branches of the trees. And you want to get the stuff that has some pretty heavy branches on it. And this is why he would carry a little hatchet, tomahawk, different ones that they had back in the day. This one is very light, weighs about 11 ounces. It's a perfect size for processing game and using as a hammer, but also for harvesting these small limbs. And so all you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're going to very carefully, making sure not to hit your hand, right? And speaking of that, I almost forgot, I got them right here in the pocket, but for extra protection, you should definitely wear leather gloves. And I had them in my pocket and just about forgot about it. So very important to keep that in mind. One slip, a little bit of a nick or something, you've got to cut. Plus, these things are prickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and we're going to just bend this over, put some tension on it, and then very carefully just chop that off, just like that. Okay? And you don't want really big, thick branches. Too big and they get up into your back and they bother you. But something this size, that's going to be perfect. And then you want to collect a whole bunch of these. Now this particular area that I'm collecting them from is along a trail, and they're actually growing out into the trail because they're reaching for sunlight. So they need to be trimmed anyway. And this is the kind of thing that you would do if you are on private property and you do have permission to do this. You want to thin it out where it's most appropriate. Now these trees will shade themselves out. It's why when you go into the woods and you look up, only the top of the trees will have any green. It's because these type of trees, like I said, they shade themselves out. They can't get any sunlight, so they grow straight up. It's what makes them really nice for building cabins and things like that. Cedar is just phenomenal. But again, you have to get to trees like this that are at the edge of a piece of woods, or you want to find something that is growing out, like I said, or a small shrub or a tree that needs to be trimmed out. Sometimes good forestry management, you have to thin the trees that are in the area. That works really well. One other thing to keep in mind, unless you're just trying to clear the tree out entirely, is only take a few branches from each tree. In other words, don't strip a whole tree down. Now they did that back in the day. They'd cut an entire tree down and use it. But you can go to 4 or 5 smaller shrub-like trees, and you can trim off enough lower branches to make a good bed, and it doesn't hurt the tree. It'll grow back, and you'll be able to, not completely denude the forest, and you'll be able to have some for the next trip perhaps. But of course, this is the kind of thing that you would want to do for demonstration purposes or once in a great while just to try it. Again, we have much better camping options today. All right, so we've got a pretty good pile right here of cedar. And the next thing that we need to do is we need to lift up the tent on this side. This is the side where I'm sleeping. So we need to remove our tent pegs. We're going to flip the tent over kind of like this, like that, so that we expose where our sleeping area is. All right, so you can see we've got the canvas bedroll laid out here. The large flap is over on that side of the tent, so it allows us to have a dry space to organize the gear, keeps it out of the dirt and the mud and things like that. And then we've got a nice couple layers here of our wool blankets so that we can, wrap up in them or keep us insulated from the ground. Again, we can manage that by adding or taking away a layer or two, plus the clothes we're wearing, of course. What we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to roll this over, and we're going to put this on this side. We're going to get it out of the way. And this is the area here. This is our rubberized canvas. And so this is going to be removed. I'm going to set this to the side. That's going to go back on top after we get the bough bed made. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to make an outline of our bed. Now we know where our tent poles are. They're kind of laid over right now, but that is the edge. And then right here where I am, it's about 30 inches wide or so, is the outside extremity of the bed. So we're going to start by laying these down just like this, and we're going to kind of come around like this, and we're going to make an oval. Now, if you know what you're doing, it only takes maybe a half an hour or so to make this bed. And remember that the most important thing you're trying to keep off the ground is your core. So basically from your hips to your head. So it doesn't have to be a full 6-foot bed. You can always pull your legs in, tuck up a little bit, depending on the size of your shelter. And then of course the fire will be down here as well to help warm this end. So again, we really need to cover the core area. I'll work on this and I'll get back with you. Before we go any farther, just a couple of housekeeping details I want to share with you. Remember, of course, for those of you who are my students, in a couple of weeks we're going to be going out on the Winter Survival Camping trip. That's at the end of January 2026. We do this every single winter. It's for those who have taken at least the Phase 1 class and up from me personally. You have to be the in-person classes, not the digital class. Also, I want to remind you that our in-person classes start up again here in Southern Ohio in April of this year, as they do every year. So make sure and go to our website and look there at waypointsurvival.com. You will find all the information that you need. You'll also find contact information. If you have any other questions, you want to email me and ask me, I'd be glad to answer those to the best of my ability. But we're really excited. We're looking forward to a great year. Love to see you in person and get some of these hands-on skills together. As well, don't forget to sign up for the Waypoint Survival and Prepping 101 newsletter. Absolutely free. Just put your information in there. We're not going to sell it or give it to anybody. It's just for our use here at Waypoint Survival and Prepping 101. And you'll get that in your inbox in your email at least once a week, if not more often. Again, it's a lot of great information. You really want to sign up for that, as well as the fact that throughout the year we're going to be doing some more giveaways this year, next year, and after that. So we really need your information so that we can contact you personally. We're doing our best to do that so that you don't get scammed from someone and have all these things going on right now digitally where people are being contacted and again, unfortunately they're getting their information. So we're trying to avoid all of that so we can have your information. We'll keep it only for us. It's in-house, and we'll be contacting you when you win any of those prizes. So thanks a lot. All right, so when I'm putting these in here, I'll put one in with the stem that way, going like that, and then the next one I'll bring in and I'll come back at it this way and I'll overlap them so we don't have a whole lot of sticks sticking out. And you want to do that all the way around. You also want to make sure that you tuck these in. So you don't want ends sticking up. That'll poke you. So you see these naturally curve. They have a curve where they've been hanging. So you want to use that and make sure that stays down. So you'll bring it in like this and lay it so that it's curved naturally. And you keep repeating that process as you go around. And of course, when you get to the sides and the top, you want to tuck this in and you want to curve it for the ends so that you can stuff them in. So just like this, we'll take and we'll poke that end in, and then this end will bend and we'll kind of weave it in underneath a couple of these other ones so that they interlace. You want to lock them in as you go around so you don't have a bunch of things just springing out all over the place. It's actually a very important step to learn how to do that. And again, like I said, you can just bend them and curve them around, and you can do one way and then go back with the other one. And then the more layers you put on, you can twist and bend and wrap them in around to make sure that they stay in place. All right, you can see what it's starting to look like. We're forming just a large oval, everything interlocked, interwoven, so that it makes a nice outside for the bed. That's very important. I'll tell you why here in a little bit. So what we've made is an oval. You want to think an oval bird's nest. You know how a bird's nest, the sides are higher than the bottom? That's exactly what we're doing here. The reason we're doing that is because we don't want to roll out of bed and we don't want things to scatter. So we're forming actually a frame using all of this springy wood as well as interlacing everything so that when we're laying down, it will kind of cup the body a little bit, and it also makes it much easier to just add leaves and debris and other litter into the center of the bed, because this will compress as you sleep on it night after night. Every day you'll have to either refresh the boughs or put more leaf litter and debris down in here for cushioning. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start laying these all one direction. We're going to start here at the top, and we're just going to put all of the stems toward the feet so that everything lays one direction. These went in a circle on the outside and they're interlaced. These are going to lay this way, and we're going to do a layer on the bottom first. Make sure we get that well covered. Now you may have to, if your ends are long, have to turn them the other way here for the bottom, but that's all right because these are going to be down low, so it's not going to bother us so much. But we want to make sure we get all of this well covered. All right, Once you get that bottom down in there like that, we're going to take and we're going to start just sticking all of these stems down inside in the center. And start at the top, work your way down. And this is where, if you have like this, some slightly bigger ones, it's going to really come in handy, because what we're doing is, not only do we have the softness of the needles, but we have these thin, springy pieces of wood here that's going to keep it more like a mattress as we lay on it and as our weight compresses it. And you'll have to do this a couple of times before you get a good feel for how much you actually need. And again, remember, we're tucking them down inside. Poke the stems down in. Make sure you keep the curve this way on the bed. You don't want them to curve up so that the ends stick out. Can't emphasize that enough. That's very uncomfortable. So just one by one, take them one at a time and stick them in there all the way down to the end into that curve we made at the bottom, just like this. And this really doesn't take a super long time. Once you get pretty good at doing this, you can make one of these beds. Took me maybe a half an hour to harvest all of this, and then if I wasn't filming, it might only take me about another 15-20 minutes to build this. All right, and just like that, we have made our bough bed. Now, remember, as I said before, it's going to compress as you sleep on it. So I've got maybe 8 inches, maybe more than that in the center. It's up pretty high, but you want at least 4 to 6 inches when it's compressed. It really helps that we have all those springy branches in there. That's why you don't want to just use little tufts. You want to get the longer pieces that actually have some springy wood in it and lay them down, like I said, with the arch up so the ends are down. Again, poke it in your back. It's going to keep it from putting a hole in your waterproof tarp, which is what goes on next. Well, let's give it a try. Let's see how it feels. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's nice. Definitely good. It's kind of spring around a little bit. And by the way, this is a good idea to go ahead and lay on it, see what it feels like, see if it's got enough spring, see if it's keeping you off the ground enough. Because after you lay on a little bit, again, it's going to compress. Now, because we have wool blankets and canvas and this, we do have some insulation already, just not a whole lot. So what we're going to do is we'll pull this back over the top then. And we put the tent back over the whole thing. All right, so what's nice about the way this is made, kind of the bird's nest outside, everything laced in together, is that because this is a very small tent, I can easily get up under here and I can compress this together into more of a narrow bed that's going to lift it up, give me even more loft. And it's going to make sure that I have enough room underneath so that when we put the tent back up, that we'll be able to be completely underneath the tent with the bough bed. Okay, one last thing. Because we're going to be putting our fire out in this area, we've got to make sure that this stuff doesn't stick out very far, because it's going to dry out. And if you've ever seen a cedar or a pine tree or anything like that catch fire, they burn like gasoline. So what we've got to do is we've got to take this and we've got to shove this up under here and bend this in and work it around so that it makes sure that it doesn't stick out, and then cover it if you can with your canvas. And that's going to help quite a bit to keep that from catching fire. And you know, you can always, if it's sticking out too far, you can just break it off like that right there. It's a piece, didn't want to bend back in, but now I've got it kind of covered, and I want to make sure and keep it that way. All right, folks, it's time to slide on in here and see how we like Horace Kephart's bed. All right, here we go on in. You kind of see what it looks like in here. We've got all of our extra clothes and stuff right here. Oh my. It's pretty comfortable. Wouldn't be a bad night's rest here at all, that's for sure. Definitely way up off the ground. I'll tell you this, it's a lot more comfortable than it was before, and I'm way off the ground. After shoving all that together, it worked out just right. Well folks, I hope you've enjoyed this little video on how to build a bough bed like Horace Kephart used and enjoyed all the time. It kept him from having to carry inflatable, type rubber mattresses and things like that, which they did have. He didn't have to carry that back into the woods. A lot of extra weight, and if it gets a hole in it, it's just a big heavy piece of rubber. But this is what the early woodsman did. It's what he learned how to do. And of course, again, today we have other things. We have much lighter weight options, and it's a little easier for us now than it was back then, but this is how they did it back in the day, and I hope that you've really enjoyed this, and we'll talk to you on the next one. This is James Bender for Waypoint Survival. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure and check out the links in the description box below, just under the More button. While you're down there, you'll find the link for the Waypoint Survival digital class, and this is where you can sign up to train in the comfort and convenience of your own backyard, the top 20 skills that we consider to be the most important from our Phase 1 Survival and Bushcraft class. You'll also find where you can sign up for the Waypoint Survival and Prepping 101 newsletter. Absolutely full of great information, comes to your inbox at least once a week, if not more often. You're going to like what's in there. You'll probably want to print it off and keep it. It's that good. Also, you'll find the link for waypointsurvival.com, which is where you can sign up to take in-person classes here at our beautiful training facility in Southern Ohio. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. And when you do subscribe, make sure and press that bell button so that you can stay notified of all of our upcoming videos, and we'll talk to you next time.